Howdy y'all! With 2022 behind us, it's finally time to drop my top 10 movies of the year list. At the time of making this list, I've seen about 56 films from the year, which is a bit less than usual, but it's for a good reason. I shot 2 short films this year and oversaw post-production for one of them. I began film festival submissions, and aside from all of that, I graduated from college, I spent my first year as a dad, and overall was just overwhelmed and busy in all of the best ways. I delayed this video just a tiny bit just to make sure that I could catch some of the films that I really wanted to see, but I can't hold off forever. Before we begin, let's get the usuals right out of the way. There were a handful of films this year that I just chose not to see because I had no interest. And there are plenty of films that I still haven't gotten around to. So keep that in mind, especially if you're watching this in the future, because my list will keep updating and changing over time. I'll put a link to my Letterboxd list in the description below. Lastly, it should go without saying that this is just my opinion. And with all that out of the way, let's get started with some honorable mentions. Films like After Yang, Cha-Cha Real Smooth, The Batman, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, The Fabelmans, Glass Onion, Decision to Leave, Triangle of Sadness, and The Worst Person in the World. Oh my god, I loved all of these movies so much, but this video cannot go on forever. So on behalf of all of these 9 films, I'm just going to say, check them out. Okay, look, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. The Northman is my favorite Robert Eggers film yet. This is the film that has probably stuck with me the longest since seeing it for the first time. I mean, this did come out all the way back in April, but its stunning visuals, brutal violence, and surprisingly touching themes on nature versus nurture, and how love, parents, and our upbringing can shape our future, have really just stuck with me ever since I watched it. I really enjoyed those aspects of the film and how much it made me think and feel. But at the same time, if you don't want to watch a film like that, then you can also just turn your brain off and watch this bloody Norse revenge-fueled nightmare, and you'll probably enjoy it all the same. And seeing as how similar to The Revenant this was, I'm kinda sad to see that it isn't as big of a hit at the box office, but then again, it doesn't feature Leo fighting a bear, so I guess that kinda cancels out that theory.
I don't see an event scheduled for you, sir.
Well, I'm going anyway.
For starters, I'm gonna echo what so many cinephiles have already said. I'm really glad that this film, until recently, was the biggest film of the year. That fact alone gave me and so many others hope for the industry and the theatrical experience in general. And for that alone, this film could have easily made my list. But it doesn't stop there. Top Gun Maverick joins the ranks of recent films like Mad Max Fury Road and Dune, in the sense that they stand for what made movies entertaining and magical in the first place. The type of big blockbuster movie making that sparked in the 70s with films like Jaws and Star Wars. And it's super easy to get cynical about the current state of movies with so many studios just churning out franchises and endless sequels faster than they can ensure quality control. So it's extremely refreshing to get films like this every now and then. Films that remind us of the few in the industry who do care about the audience and still want to give them the best product possible. Joseph Kosinski outdid himself as a director with this one, and Tom Cruise has never been more entertaining. Claudio Miranda's cinematography is breathtaking, and I'm not just referring to all of the fighter jet cinematography. I mean, just look at the football scene. Need I say more?
You never know how long you have with someone until they're gone.
Please bring him back to me.
This was one of those films that my wife and I had to fight to see in a theater, and I'm so glad that we did. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is my favorite animated film in a while, and part of that is due to del Toro's attention to detail. Supposedly, this was a passion project for him, and you can definitely see that in the stop-motion animation. Each one of these characters have so much life and personality in their movements and expressions, and also the production design is breathtaking. The matte-painted backdrops felt like something out of a Powell and Pressburger film. Alexander Desplat's score is easily his best in my opinion, and it really brings out the emotional gravity of the story. All of these factors are constantly working together with del Toro's unique vision and strong sense of location and time to make this film seem so magical. And despite it being far less bleak and violent than The Devil's Backbone and Pan's Labyrinth, I would still connect Pinocchio to them. You've got 3 fairy tales that are all centered around dark points in European history. All 3 of them bring up themes and horrors from those times that are still relevant today, and they all do so in a way that even a child could understand. Just maybe don't show The Devil's Backbone or Pan's Labyrinth to a child.
Oh my god! My camera! I need my camera!
Okay, remember all that I said about Top Gun Maverick just a few moments ago? Well, I feel all of that and more for Jordan Peele's latest film, Nope. This is a film that is just right up my alley. Okay, first I want to talk about how Michael Abel's score is my favorite of the year. There's so many great tracks and moments within it, but I have to talk about the track that plays during OJ's big ride during the climax of the film. It's just so damn cool. It captures every aspect of what makes this film so multifaceted in just 1 minute and 41 seconds. It starts things off with an uneasy feeling within its creeping strings and bellowing horns, but then as the scene continues on, the score picks up, galloping alongside OJ in jean jacket, and then boom! Now it's a Western. I'm listening to it right now as I'm writing the script for this video. It's just so good. Nope is a conglomerate of the medium's biggest and greatest American film genres and pays tribute to the masters of those genres in so many cool ways. From its innovative and soaring cinematography, to Abel's score that I just praised, and all the way down to Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya's outstanding chemistry. And like his previous films, there's plenty of social commentary to unpack, deeper themes and meanings that he's exploring, including racism in the film industry, childhood trauma, the treatment of animals, and so much more. It is my favorite Jordan Peele film thus far, and I can see myself rewatching this every year and it never getting old.
But you're not to associate with him again.
What do you mean? Why?
I think you know what I mean.
You know what's weird? I thought for sure if there was going to be one autobiographical film about a director's childhood to connect with me more than any other, that it would be Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans. And don't get me wrong, I love that film, but James Gray's Armageddon Time came out of nowhere and surprised the hell out of me. I think a huge part of it is just how close I felt to Banks Rapida's performance as Paul. This kid had to convey the emotional spectrum of being in middle school and losing your innocence. It's a point in my life that I remember so vividly. It's a confusing and sometimes scary time for people, and navigating that is hard, especially for a child actor. And throwing that messy cocktail into a Reagan-Thatcher setting of the 1980s only makes things more complicated. It was extremely moving to see the rose-colored nostalgia goggles that are rampant in every 1980s period piece today just thrown out the window, and in its place see something so much more real. Long story short, just check out Armageddon Time.
Dad, he's good. Oh my god, he's doing some real slow motion ninja moves.
Charlotte Wells' Aftersun packed an emotional punch that I don't think I could have ever been prepared for. This film is from the perspective of a woman looking back on her memories of a vacation with her dad in Turkey when she was 11 and he was 30. It uses mini DV camera footage, enigmatic editing, and super artful cinematography to constantly make you question everything that you see. I found myself constantly asking things like, what am I looking at? Is this a memory? Is this something that really happened? Or is this just all in Sophie's head? It's the sneakiest film that I saw all year, and I don't think that that's something that will appeal to everyone. This film is slow paced, and that's very intentional. And while it's not as enigmatic as something like a Tarkovsky film, you do have to be willing to figure out for yourself what the emotional content and overall message of the film is. Otherwise, you'll probably just think that this is a really slow movie about two people on vacation where not much happens. All of the story, character work, and messaging are told in the subtext of conversations, song lyrics, or editing. It almost feels interactive, kind of like a puzzle. And guys, this puzzle made me cry. Films like this inspire me to be a better filmmaker and storyteller, and I hope to make something as emotionally strong as it one day.
Now, if I've done something to you, just tell me what I've done to you.
But you didn't say anything to me. I just don't like you no more.
You didn't like me yesterday.
Boy, Martin McDonagh just never misses, huh? The premise of his fourth film, The Banshees of Inisherin, appeared to have the lowest stakes out of any of his premises so far. And while that ended up being extremely true on the surface, that didn't stop this film from being possibly his best yet. This film's setup is that there's two guys who are best friends, and one day, one of them just decides that the two of them aren't going to be friends anymore. And the other guy struggles to process that information. So much so that the ripple effects of this quarrel, rowing are felt throughout the entire island. This film has so much fun with the idea of a friendship breaking up and how much it can affect the world surrounding it, and it's probably my favorite acting ensemble of the entire year. I mean, every single performance in this is believable. Colin Farrell delivers the most nuanced male performance that I saw all year, and the chemistry that he and Brendan Gleeson share here is just undeniable. Kerry Condon and Barry Keoghan both are deserving of nominations as well. You know what? Every actor in this movie should be nominated. All of them, okay? All of them.
You don't think I'm a bad person.
All I think is that I love you.
I never thought in a million years that I would get scared, grossed out, emotionally invested, and then have my heart ripped out, all from one cinematic experience. But here we are. Luca Guadagnino's Bones and All is just an odd experience because of all of the conflicting emotions that you're going to have while watching it. In fact, this film and the next one on the list kind of share that X factor, each in a different way. Both films are either going to be your thing or they won't, and that's okay. This film, and really all of Guadagnino's work, are filled with an acute attention to the human body. It's kind of insane just how visceral it feels in this film especially. Every single strong emotion that I felt in this film, whether it was fear, suspense, sadness, happiness, literally any feeling at all, they were all interwoven with some sort of physical performance from the actors, and Luca's focus on that within the frame. For instance, that scene at the carnival when Lee is just staring at the carnival employee from afar, both of them are mining the exact same result from the other with their body language, only there are vastly different motivations for each character. And the way that the scene pans out is just so satisfying and horrifying. It's excellent acting, direction, and storytelling. Timmy dazzled me as he always does, and Mark Rylance delivers his most slimy and creepy performance to date. Good God. But the standout in this cast was definitely Taylor Russell. She's tasked with a huge responsibility of getting the audience on board really quickly, because if they aren't immediately on board, then they're probably gonna check out real fast due to this film's subject matter. Hey yo, did I mention this film is about cannibals? But she absolutely knocks it out of the park. 10 minutes into this film and I was absolutely enthralled and on board, ready to take on anything that Guadagnino was willing to throw my way. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross deliver a chilling yet moving score that is just, whew, what a film. Check it out if you dare. I mean, I love this film, but it might not be your thing. So if you watch it and hate it, just promise you won't get mad at me, okay?
I always wanted to be part of something bigger.
If I had money, I would only spend it on things that were fun. I just want for everyone to party forever.
I just want to say real quick with zero context, releasing this at the same time as Avatar may have tanked this film at the box office, but it's also the biggest middle finger to that side of the industry, and I love it. Good grief, was this film a ride. And once again, I'm not sure if it's going to be for everyone. I mean, this film features projectile vomiting and projectile shitting, and those two things aren't even the craziest things to happen in this film. Look, I couldn't make this up even if I wanted to. Damien Chazelle has just been so clearly enamored by this section of history that has been covered up like an embarrassment for so long, and I love him for it. All of the depth that film historians and enthusiasts alike would hope to find in a film about the pre-Hays Code era of Hollywood is here, and Chazelle is incredibly unapologetic for it. Once I finally saw this film, I couldn't help but look back at the mixed critical reception and think to myself, look, Chazelle is being so honest about this point in time, what the hell else were you expecting? Beneath all of the unbridled chaos is just an epic centered around characters that I never once lost interest in. Think about this for a second. This film has the same runtime as Avatar 2, and yet this film felt an hour shorter. I was always invested in not only the chaos, but the narrative that was always just chugging along underneath. This shot up my favorites list so fast after seeing it. Geez, I loved every single aspect of this film so much. Margot Robbie's larger-than-life performance, Diego Calva's star-making performance, Justin Hurwitz's humongous score, the energetic editing and pace, Chazelle's signature flair and style that is just oozing out of every frame. This film probably could have been my favorite of the year, were it not for just one more.
Time is the thing. You cannot start without me.
Lydia Tarr is many things, one of them being by and large the most interesting character that I have seen on the big screen in years. If you're familiar with my channel, then you probably remember a video that I made about Todd Field a little over a year ago. The man made 2 movies in the early to mid 2000s and hasn't put out anything since. That is, until Tar. So naturally, when this film was announced earlier in 2022, I was over the moon with excitement, and I'm very happy to report that Todd Field has aged like fine wine. His direction and writing is more razor sharp here than ever before. He presents us with a character that has so many fascinating characteristics that each apply to different topics that are so relevant today. And he doesn't stop there. Those attributes are just the icing on the cake. Field is extremely interested with power and how its dynamics can dictate personality and even the fate of some people. He explores all of that here through immaculate shot selection, a punishing edit from both a visual and sound standpoint, and most of all, through Cate Blanchett's Oscar-deserving turn as the titular character. Field and Focus Features have pretty much sold this film as sort of a musical biopic. But here's the thing, Lydia Tarr is not a real person. So selling a film that way is a super risky move, and it pays tremendous dividends here, allowing an actor as talented as Blanchett to fully embody such a ginormous character and do as she wishes with it. I could not take my eyes off of her for the entirety of the runtime. Over the course of the runtime, as Field patiently reveals more and more of the plot to you, you also learn more and more about Lydia. This is not only intentional, but integral to the film and how it functions, because it constantly feels like you, the viewer, are subject to her power. Watching her actions from afar and never being able to do anything, we all are just a helpless bystander in this story. And once you understand the core of this story and what Field is trying to accomplish, this idea becomes central to how you finish the film, resulting in a dizzying ending that still blows my mind every time that I see it. Tar is easily my favorite film of the year. It's creeping its way up my all-time favorite list. Just, it's a perfect film, okay? And there it is. That's my top 10 favorite films of 2022. Let me know what your top 10 films of the year were in the comments below, and have fun at the movies this year. I know I will. See y'all next time.